An elevator door opened. People from human resources stepped out with folders and blank expressions. On Wall Street, that is never a good sign. It means someone is about to lose a job, maybe a whole team, maybe years of work, all packed into one cardboard box. That morning, a man named Eric Dale gets fired.
Please review and sign these termination papers.
September 2008, panic hit the financial world. Within hours, it became clear things were falling apart. Trillions in assets suddenly looked like they could turn worthless. This is the story of how one of the biggest financial collapses began unraveling in just 24 hours. Now, Eric is not some random employee. He is the head of risk management. That means his whole job is simple to say, but terrifying to do. He is the guy whose job is to look at the company's bets and ask one ugly question. What happens if we're wrong? Before Eric leaves, he hands a file to a younger analyst named Peter Sullivan. He does not explain much. He does not make a speech. He just passes the work over and says two words that change everything. Be careful. That's it. And for a while, Peter probably thinks it is just unfinished office work, something boring, something technical, the kind of thing you finish, email, and forget. But later that night, Peter stays behind and keeps looking at the numbers. And then he sees it. Not a small mistake, not a problem they can fix next week, not something that will make the quarterly report look bad. He sees that if the value of the firm's mortgage assets drops far enough, the losses will be bigger than the entire company. Think about that for a second. Imagine owning a house worth $500,000, but hidden in the basement is a problem so expensive that fixing it would cost $600,000. That is not a repair. That is a disaster wearing a nice suit. That is what Peter finds. And the scariest part is not that the company made a bad bet. The scariest part is that this bad bet is so huge, so deeply built into the company, that one hard move in the market could wipe them out. So now the night changes. Peter calls people back into the office.
I need everyone online stat.
Seth comes in. Will Emerson comes in. Then Sam Rogers, the senior trader, gets pulled in. Nobody wants to be there. Everyone is tired. Everyone is annoyed. But once Peter explains what he found, the mood changes fast. Because these are not just bad numbers. These are end-of-the-company numbers. Now let's make the problem simple. The firm has a huge pile of mortgage-backed securities. That sounds complicated, but the idea is actually easy. Banks gave home loans to people. Then those loans were bundled together and sold like products. Investors bought those bundles because they were told they were safe. It is like taking a basket of fruit. Some apples are fresh, some are already going bad. But if you wrap the whole basket in shiny plastic and stick a premium label on it, people stop looking too closely at what is inside. For years, that worked. Housing prices kept rising, more loans were made, more bundles were sold, more money came in. Everyone acted like the machine could never break. But the machine was already breaking. People were getting loans they could not truly afford. The quality of the mortgages was getting worse. The risk models used old assumptions, like the world would keep behaving the way it had before. But real life does not care about neat models. Real life changes. People lose jobs, house prices fall. And once fear enters a market built on borrowed money, things move fast. That is what Peter's model shows. The market has moved beyond what the firm planned for. Their safety limits are useless now. The losses are no longer possible. They are coming. And suddenly, all the men who looked powerful a few hours ago start acting like passengers on a plane that just lost an engine. Then the calls go higher. Middle managers become scared. Senior managers become careful. Executives get dragged out of bed. Finally, the top boss himself arrives. John Tould. John Tould walks in like the kind of man who has seen storms before and thinks storms are for other people. He is calm, sharp, and cold. He does not panic. He wants the truth, but only the useful truth. He does not care about the math unless the math can be explained in one sentence. That part matters. Because when Peter explains the problem, the room is not asking, "How did this happen?" They are asking, "How bad is it?" And the answer is brutal. If these assets keep falling, the company dies. Just like that. Years of deals, billions of dollars, endless confidence, expensive offices, expensive watches, expensive opinions, all of it can disappear. because the thing they trusted most was built on weak ground. This is what makes the movie hit hard. Nobody in that room looks like a villain from a comic book. They are not laughing while the world burns. They are scared, calculating, trapped, and trying to get out before the door closes. But here is where the real moral punch lands. The company has a way to survive. Not a good way. Not an honest way. Not a clean way. A brutal way. They decide to dump the toxic assets into the market before everyone else realizes how bad they really are. In plain English, they want to sell the bad stuff first and let someone else hold the pain. That is the plan. Save the firm, burn the trust. John Told knows it will destroy relationships. He knows buyers will remember this. He knows traders inside the company will hate making those calls. But survival comes first. On Wall Street, morality usually gets invited into the room after the money has already left. So the next morning becomes a race. The traders are gathered and given the order. Sell it all. Sam Rogers, one of the few men in the film who still seems to feel something, stands in front of his team and tells them the truth. This is going to ruin reputations. People on the other side of the phone will know what is happening. Careers may be damaged forever. Then he gives them the bait. Huge bonuses. Because that is how rotten systems protect themselves. They do not ask people to do ugly things for free. They make the ugly thing profitable. And now the story becomes painfully human. Think about being one of those traders. You know the product is poison. You know the buyers trust you. You know that by the end of the day, they may hate you. But if you refuse, you are finished. If you obey, maybe you survive. Maybe you even get rich. That is the real crash hiding inside margin call. Not just the market crash. The character crash. The moment when people stop asking, "Is this right?" and start asking, "Can I afford to say no?" That question is not just a Wall Street question, by the way. That is why the story connects. You can shrink it down to everyday life. A worker sees a problem but stays quiet to keep the job. A manager blames the wrong person to protect a bonus. A company hides the truth because admitting it would cost too much. Different scale, same fear. That is why this story feels real even if you have never touched a stock chart in your life. Because pressure reveals people. And under pressure, this firm reveals everything. It reveals that warnings were ignored. It reveals that smart people can still be reckless. It reveals that complicated language often hides very simple greed. And most of all, it reveals how a system can look stable right up until the exact second it isn't. They arrive looking like routine. By the middle of the day, the fire sale is underway. The firm is selling massive amounts of garbage dressed as assets. Buyers start noticing something is wrong. Prices fall, trust breaks. The company takes ugly losses, but it stays alive. That is the twisted victory. They survive by pushing the damage outward. And once you understand that, the title starts to sting. A margin call is supposed to be the moment someone must put up more money because the position is no longer safe. But in this story, the real margin call is almost spiritual. It is the moment reality calls. The moment truth demands payment. The moment all the fake confidence built over years gets handed the bill. And someone always pays. So when you watch Peter finding the flaw in that model late at night, you are not just watching a smart guy solve a puzzle. You are watching the exact moment a hidden truth escapes the dark. And once truth escapes, nobody in that building can put it back. Eric Dale knew it. Peter discovers it. Sam feels the weight of it. John Told weaponizes it. And by the end, the company is still standing, but it does not feel like a win. It feels like a man escaping a burning house after setting fire to the block. That ending is what really stays with you. Not the numbers. Not the trading floor. Not even the speeches. It is the emptiness after survival. Sam ends the film burying his dog. It is a quiet, sad moment, and it matters because it reminds you that beneath all the money talk, these are still people. Broken people, compromised people, tired people, people who got through the day and still lost something important inside themselves. And maybe that is the biggest lesson in the whole story. The world did not almost collapse because nobody was smart enough. It almost collapsed because too many people were smart enough to understand the danger, but not brave enough to stop the machine when it was still making money. That is what makes these 24 hours so chilling. The crash did not begin when the headlines exploded. It began the night one analyst opened a file, checked the math, and realized the company was already dead. It just had not fallen over yet. And that's what makes this story hit so hard. The crash didn't begin with screaming on Wall Street. It began with people choosing survival over truth. If this breakdown pulled you in, drop a like, share your thoughts below, pass it along, and subscribe for more stories like this here.